The Volkswagen LT was the largest light commercial vehicle panel van produced by Volkswagen from 1975 to 2006. Two generations were produced. First generation LT. History Volkswagen introduced the Volkswagen Type 2 in 1950 and developed light commercial vehicle versions for German and European markets. The name Combi established itself as a concept term to describe an entire light commercial vehicle segment. The automaker introduced the revised Volkswagen Type 2 in 1968. Commercial customers were shipping heavier and larger volume freight. The Volkswagen Type 2 platform was also limited by its rear-mounted engine design. The new design specifications for a larger transporter as an additional series ranged from 2.8 tons gross vehicle weight to 3.5 tons. The layout was a conventional rear drive with the engine located above the front axle, in a forward control or cab-over design. The new Volkswagen van was launched in 1975 in Berlin. The name given to Volkswagen's large transporter was as functional as the entire vehicle. It was just called LT, which is simply the abbreviation of Larsen Transporter. The LT came in three gross vehicle weights, from 2.8 to 3.5 tons, with two wheelbases, two roof options, and with bodywork options as a panel van, a compact, a platform vehicle and a chassis cab combination. The design featured a high ratio of utility space to footprint due to its forward control design and overall width of 2.085 meters. The compact LT panel van offered an interior load length of over 3 meters and a load area of around 5.5 square meters. Suspension axles The LT was equipped with a front axle with independent front wheel suspension. Later options, such as the heavy LT40 to LT55, had a solid front axle to achieve increased to-load carrying capacity as is common for light trucks. Facelifts The first facelift in 1983 changed mostly the interior, at the same time as the engine cover was changed and the turbo diesel and inline-six petrol engines were introduced. A redesigned dashboard was added and various other small things were changed. The undercarriage had an additional third wheelbase as an option for platform-type vehicles, at up to 4.6 meters in length. 2 years later, Volkswagen again increased the gross vehicle weight, with the 5.6-ton LT55. It was available with a single-tire rear axle, allowing for more space between rear wheel wells inside the cargo floor. An LT with four-wheel drive that could be enabled from within the cab was also available. Your next facelift in 1986 changed the round headlights to rectangular units, as well as other minor cosmetic retouches. In spring 1993, there was again a modest change in the look, with new grey plastic elements introduced to the radiator grille and in the rear lighting section. The diesel engines were replaced with a more modern version of the same block. The DW was replaced by the ACT engine and the DV engines was replaced by the intercooled ACL engine. Additionally to that, the engine cover was replaced with a new version, that had an opening in the front allowing to check the coolant without having to open the entire engine cover. Campervan versions A touring camper in its various bodywork and fitting options was also produced. The vehicle's width allowed the possibility of beds arranged crosswise. Various Volkswagen-endorsed Westphalia campervan models were available for the LT, including the Sven Hedin, and a later model, Florida. The LT was also used by Carman, who produced over 3,000 Carman Lieutenant distance-wide coach-built motorhomes. Truck cabs The G-Series light truck was a joint venture between Volkswagen and MAN, with gross vehicle weights of between 6 and 10 tons. It was built from 1979 until 1993. Volkswagen's Brazilian plant at Resende has been constructing trucks with weights of between 7 to 35 tons. Even after the launch of the new Volkswagen Constellation in 2006, Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles has continued to manufacture vehicles incorporating cabs based on the first generation of the Lieutenant. The Volkswagen Titan has succeeded in winning the European Cup and the Super Truck race. Its cab is similarly based on the first generation of the LT's cab. Rebadging In the late 80s, German-built Volkswagen LT and MAN VWG were sold in Spain as Pegaso, while Brazilian-built units were marketed in USA as Peterbilt Midrangers. 4x4 The LT also existed in 4x4. VW already prepared for this in 1983 with the facelift of the cab, as the instrumentation has lights for front, center and rear differential locks. ZAR 1/4 LZER developed a 4x4 version of the VW LT based on the long wheelbase. These were either LT40 or LT45. Opposed to the normal LT40 and LT45, the 4x4s only had single wheels on the rear axle. The chassis was lifted and a prop shaft-driven, rod shaft-controlled transbox was installed under the vehicle. The front and rear axles were replaced. The transbox was a new Process 208. The first 6 of the ZAR 1/4 LZER vehicles are supposed to have had Dano axles. After that, production was changed to use the Italian-built Clark Earth axles. Differential lock on the rear axle came as factory default. The front diff lock came optional. Due to the change of axles, the 4x4 LTs came with completely different rims to the normal LTs. All 4x4 LTs have 6-stud tube-type split rims in 6.5J width. The standard tire fitment on these rims is 7.00x16 or 7.50x16. The biggest tire that these rims will take is 9.00x16, which will give another 6 cm of ground clearance, but that will require arch modifications in the front. Pro has a 16x8J ETO rim in their portfolio, that will fit the 4x4 LT, but these can't be bought directly. Owners have managed to get hold of these rims over a group buy. The Pro rims will then allow to run 28,516 tires on the 4x4 Lieutenant. Another wheel option has been truck rims and tires, using 17.5 inches rims from trucks, which have the same PCD as the 4x4 LTs. It's however near to impossible to find off-road tires in 17.5 inches. In 1985 VW took over the production of the 4x4 LTs and introduced the DW and DV engines to the portfolio. The model portfolio covered only long wheelbase vehicles. Tin-top and high-top as LT40, pickup and double cab as LT40 or LT45. In 1991 the naturally aspirated diesel engine was dropped from the 4x4 program. So was the tin-top variant. Front differential lock now became factory standard also, and the transfer box was upgraded to the new Process 241. Stierpich in Austria built the Norica on VW LT basis in competition with the ZAR 1/4 LZER and VW LT 4x4s, but they only were produced in very limited numbers. Devers also built 3 VW LT 4x4s on the same principle as ZAR 1/4 LZER VW, one of which was used in the Dakar Rally in 1983. Tip codes The Volkswagen tip codes for the first generation LT were Tip 28 to April 1975 to July 1991, Tip 21 August 1991 to December 1995. The last first-generation LT was produced in 1996, which corresponds to a British P registration plate. In 21 years, just under 5 million vehicles were assembled. Engines The petrol engine was a modified Audi 100 2.0L inline 4-cylinder. In 1976 Volkswagen wanted to make a sports coupe and had Porsche design one for them using parts from the VW Audi Group bin with front engine and rear-wheel drive. They didn't go with the design as the rest of the range was switching to front-wheel drive, that is Golfjet, so VW came up with another design. Porsche then decided to build it anyway in a collaboration with VW, culminating in the Porsche 924 running with an Audi 2 LTR engine with Bosch K-Jetronic injection, which is the same basic engine that was in the 2 LTR petrol LT at the time, albeit with a carburetor instead. It was rated at 55 kilowatts and achieved higher torque at lower engine RPMs. An inline 4-cylinder diesel engine by Perkins was available. The 48 kilowatts 2.7-liter diesel was included in the LT range from 1976 onwards. The Perkins engine was replaced in 1978 with a six-cylinder variant of the Volkswagen Golf diesel. The original 1.6L four-cylinder engine became the D24 2.4L six-cylinder, delivering 55 kilowatts. This engine was also used in a number of Volvo passenger cars. In December 1982, an upgrade to the LT was introduced. The six-cylinder diesel was available as a turbo diesel, the Volkswagen D24T engine, producing 75 kilowatts and 195 newton-meters of torque. In addition, the six-cylinder engine was now also available as a 66 kilowatts petrol engine. All engines were now mounted with a clear offset alignment that allowed for a flatter engine compartment, which was shifted further to the rear for more space for a third seat in the cab. In 1992, an overhauled turbo diesel engine with charge air cooler and 70 kilowatts was introduced, the Volkswagen D24T engine. Second generation LT. History. In 1996, the joint venture of Volkswagen and Daimler's Mercedes-Benz Commercial introduced the second generation Lieutenant. The Volkswagen version shared the body shell with the new Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, however the engine and transmission were Volkswagen Group sourced. This deal would continue in the Volkswagen Crafter, successor to the Lieutenant. The new design incorporated an engine mounted longitudinally beneath a short hood and with rear-wheel drive. The LT adopted what had become the standard style of construction for bigger transporters. It also included economical direct injection diesel engines, easy access to the driver cab behind the front axle, and a wide space between the driver and passenger seat. The range now went from 2.6 to 4.6 tons gross vehicle weight, and the enclosed options of the panel van and compact were available in three wheelbase options. Platform vehicles, crew cabs and numerous undercarriage options completed the range. A special articulated version of the second generation LT, the XLT, was available through special order. Tip codes. The Volkswagen tip codes for the second generation LTR, Tip 2DA Euro May 1996 to July 2006. Engines included a naturally aspirated engine, as well as three turbocharged direct injection diesel engines. These were the inline 5-cylinder TDI used in the Volkswagen Eurovan. The performance range for the LT initially went from 61 kilowatts to 96 kilowatts. In January 2002, an inline 4-cylinder 2.8-liter engine increased power output to 116 kilowatts, and the maximum torque to 331 newton-meters. The 2.8-liter engine specifications, 2,799 cubic centimeters inline 4-cylinder, 93 mm bore, 103 mm stroke and 3 valves per cylinder, rated output, 116 kilowatts EEC at 3,500 RPMs. 331 newton-meters at 1,800 RPMs, diesel common rail fuel system, the 2.5-liter, 2,461 cubic centimeters inline 5-cylinder, 81 mm bore, 95.5 mm stroke, 19.5 compression ratio, and 2 valves per cylinder, rated output, 80 kilowatts EEC at 3,500 RPMs. 280 newton-meters at 1,900 RPMs, diesel direct injection fuel system, KKKK14 turbocharger. Replacement. Production ended in September 2006, with about 350,000 LT models produced on over 9 years. Plans for the third generation of the large transporter from Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles had already gone underway, and later that year, the Volkswagen Crafter was launched. See also, Volkswagen D24 engine, Volkswagen D24T engine, Volkswagen D24T engine. References. Bibliography, 1985 VW LT4X4 product brochure, 1991 VW LT4X4 product brochure, list of discontinued Volkswagen Group petrol engines, list of discontinued Volkswagen Group diesel engines, Devers Dakar View LT4X4, LT Front Forum. External links, information and photos of Westphalia built LT campervans, VW Australian official LT site.